by the sound of violence.
How about the fine print here?
Okay.
I'm just going to read a short excerpt from the section on the UFC's ticket page called Assumption of Risk. Attendance at the event may lead to exposure to COVID-19, and the contraction of COVID-19 may result in severe and permanent damage to the health of the holder, the ticket holder, and or others, including, but not limited to, death, fever, weight loss, irreversible pulmonary, respiratory, and neurological system damage, loss of taste or smell, mental or emotional distress, temporary or permanent disability, loss of income, loss of employment, loss of financial or other opportunities, medical expenses which may or may not be covered by insurance, cleaning expenses, mandatory self-quarantine, loss of licenses and similar approvals by any regulatory or self-regulatory body to which the holder or any of the releasing parties is subject, investigation and or prosecution by civil, criminal, and other regulatory authorities, and other harms and lost opportunities, whether economic, reputational, or otherwise.
Reputational?
Yeah.
I might suffer a reputational loss from going to UFC 261 or whatever.
Yeah, if you went to UFC 261, Assumption of Risk, you may suffer a reputational disaster, I guess. And the UFC is indemnified from that.
You know what? I mean, obviously they were going to do something like this, that seeing the actual language does drive the point home. But if you want to come to me later on and complain about how you caught COVID at UFC 261, the 15,000 person sellout in 15 minutes, whatever, I will not have a lot of sympathy for you.
No.
Liked by the sound of violence.
How about the fine print here?
Okay.
I'm just going to read a short excerpt from the section on the UFC's ticket page called Assumption of Risk. Attendance at the event may lead to exposure to COVID-19, and the contraction of COVID-19 may result in severe and permanent damage to the health of the holder, the ticket holder, and or others, including, but not limited to, death, fever, weight loss, irreversible pulmonary, respiratory, and neurological system damage, loss of taste or smell, mental or emotional distress, temporary or permanent disability, loss of income, loss of employment, loss of financial or other opportunities, medical expenses which may or may not be covered by insurance, cleaning expenses, mandatory self-quarantine, loss of licenses and similar approvals by any regulatory or self-regulatory body to which the holder or any of the releasing parties is subject, investigation and or prosecution by civil, criminal, and other regulatory authorities, and other harms and lost opportunities, whether economic, reputational, or otherwise.
Reputational?
Yeah.
I might suffer a reputational loss from going to UFC 261 or whatever.
Yeah, if you went to UFC 261, Assumption of Risk, you may suffer a reputational disaster, I guess. And the UFC is indemnified from that.
You know what? I mean, obviously they were going to do something like this, that seeing the actual language does drive the point home. But if you want to come to me later on and complain about how you caught COVID at UFC 261, the 15,000 person sellout in 15 minutes, whatever, I will not have a lot of sympathy for you.
No.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast, let you know the MMA podcast you should catch, skip, and can't miss each week, except we don't do skips anymore. I'm a fucking dirty liar. We also aim to be a form of mutual aid for the MMA podcast community, and I also aim to not spill my beer again in this episode. I am Pulver. I am back yet again with my co-host, Chris Madaffer. How's it going, man?
If I'm honest, not good, but I'm back, and my love for Bellator, so.
That's true. Chris is notoriously the biggest Bellator fan. They call him a Bella Stan. No, they don't. They don't do that.
No. I enjoyed the main card for what it was.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. It was pretty good. Like it was some fun scrappy fights on it.
Only thing I'll make fun of it was that every fighter's song or walkout song or like intermission song they did
wasn't Red Hot Chili Peppers like the UFC.
No, it was just I felt like I was in.
Oh wait, did you literally make a Neutral Grounds joke the second I did the fucking?
Kind of. I was just thinking like every single song that was on, I was like, dude, this was like if I was in a club like almost 10 years ago or some shit, and it's what?
That's just
like,
MMA though.
Yeah,
outside of Japan anyway.
It's almost like the person in charge, the DJ or whatever you want to call it, the producer, just selectively just played some random playlist on Spotify. Yeah, everything was just jungled together.
DJ AM3 or whatever the fucking AL3 is the that's the house DJ for the UFC. DJ AL3. I believe. I believe. I think that's an old school Jordan Breen reference if I remember right, because he's who I first heard that from. But yeah, stupid as hell.
He's probably not wrong.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of fighters pick their own music, and fighters have bad taste in music, dude. It's not good. Angie Hill is like the high tier of fighters who like music, or Tyron Woodley, obviously, if you're gonna talk about the music goats anyway.
Yeah, clearly.
R.I.P. All right. So now that we have officially gone off the rails a second in, Chris, I see you're sipping on something. You want to share with the people what a glorious beverage you're drinking tonight?
Yeah, it's some sparkling water. It's not LaCroix or how the fuck you pronounce that.
They actually insist you call it LaCroix despite being wrong about their own name. They're like Dazen.
Yeah, exactly. I always call it Dasson.
Yeah.
No, it's this other sparkling water called Polar. There's like a polar bear.
Oh yeah, Polar's pretty good, I heard.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it.
Oh yeah.
So, wish I could spike some vodka in there, some tequila, but I'm on some medication that requires I can't drink. So, yeah, it is what it is.
That's right. Which is kind of the opposite of me, because this is my medication this week, since I'm a responsible adult who definitely doesn't fucking self-medicate with booze and weed. Definitely not a thing. I am drinking, Chris. I have not had this beer in. If we see Mark Fellows tonight, I'm gonna say I bet you he will have some kind of opinion about this beer. This is right in his wheelhouse. But I am drinking a beer I have not had in a long time. The second I say it, Mark Fellows magically appears in chat, lurking like the goddamn Australian genie that he is, immediately throwing up the beer steins. Cheers, Mark Fellows. Mark Fellows, I'll just address you directly. I am, since Chris can't drink this week, I am drinking an old school IPA, like one of the first double IPAs I knew of that kind of hit the scene that really splashed pretty big across the U.S., and that is from a brewery that I don't have a ton. I love this brewery, but I don't buy their beers a ton. Oh, Matt in chat as well. Saw, dude. I am drinking Avery's Maharaja IPA, their Imperial IPA, it is the oldest school of the old school Imperial IPAs, I would say, along with
Is the Avery's the guys, they do the White Rascal, right? That's
in Denver.
Okay.
Or not Denver, but Colorado.
Okay.
I forget which part of Colorado. Fort Collins or something, maybe? Boulder. They're in Boulder.
Nice.
Yeah. Avery in general is like one of the old school breweries that they never really they've always just been Avery. Like they're still to this day, like they really started getting pretty deep into like barrel age, single like small batch stuff. Aside from like their staples like White Rascal, which is just a delicious wit beer. Like I don't know about you, but I love. Or I guess it's a white technically, right? It's a Belgian wit white, like somewhere
generally
in there.
white ale or just a white beer is generally just a wit beer.
I know there's like small differences. I think they're technically a Belgian.
Yeah,
wit.
I don't want to say I don't drink wit beers, but that is a good beer.
Yeah,
I've had it before. I like it.
It's one of my go-tos. Wit beers are generally a little. I don't buy them a lot because they're heavy, just because the grain like bill on them. But yeah, I enjoy them for sure. And man, Maharaja though is a beer that, like I said, I haven't had since they were only bottling bombers back in. It literally would have been like not long after I turned 21. So I don't know what year is that. Like a decade ago. 11 years ago, something like that. And yeah, to put it in beer context, it'd be around the time where Stone was releasing like Sublimely Self-Righteous.
Oh yeah.
And Stone was also doing a lot of the Belgian crosses, like the Cali Belgique or whatever they were calling them.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, like at the time in San Diego, Green Flash's West Coast IPA was blowing the fuck up. Of course, Sculpin was everywhere. This is like pre-grapefruit Sculpin, I think. But post-Big Eye, it would have been. But yeah, it is a very classic double IPA. And honestly, this thing ages pretty fucking well. The one that I have is canned on, I think it was in February. Yeah, February 11th of this year. And man, doubles you can get away with a little bit more age on them because they don't oxidize as quick. And that kind of rounds out a little bit better. But yeah, very drinkable for a fucking 10% Imperial IPA. So I'm a big fan, and I'm really surprised this beer holds up so well. I guess, to be fair, though, the last time I had it wasn't a bottle, and I can't imagine it was all that fresh back in 2009 or whenever I got it, or 2010. So, yeah. Pretty impressed, man. I should buy more Avery beers. You know what? The other Avery beer that I always pick up is their Ellie's Brown, the brown with the dog on it.
I think I do recall seeing that one.
It's real good. But a lot of their stuff that I normally end up getting is like all their like small batch barrel aged stuff, where they did a lot of like little like 12 ounce bottles of like super specifically like barrel aged stuff with a whole bunch of different barrels. Actually, there's a place up in Big Bear. I think it's called we talked about it last year. R.I.P. Seamus after we got back from that trip, and it has a really cool name. It's like fucking. It has hell in the name of the It's like a tiny little bottle shop with a ton of great beers from all over the place. But they had a bunch of them. So anyway, we are way off topic, and we're not a booze show, despite my best efforts, Chris. And you're not even drinking this week, so I guess we should probably move along, right?
Yeah.
Although,
then again, we could talk all day, like you said. Or
very true. I should ask: are you smoking anything this week?
Not right now. Probably later.
You just being a big old sober boy this week, huh?
A little bit, yeah. I'm just mostly just tired.
Well, and a responsible adult out of the two of us. Let's be honest. It's
a
Monday.
I don't want to be irresponsible, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I hear ya. Well, we will keep on moving on then. So do you want to go ahead and kick us off with? I guess I can shout out what weed I'm smoking. I'm smoking maybe the dumbest name I've heard in weed so far. Money Trees Cannabis, MTC. Their logo. I think it's just the Money Tree logo. Like, it's just pretty much the Money Tree logo. And this is some Chem Driver. It's pretty good. It's all right. It's not great.
Money Tree's kind of like that loan.
Yeah, the fucking the whack ass fucking payday loan place. Fuck payday loan places.
I just remember those shitty commercials.
So
with the
goddamn
creepy dude in the
shady
caterpillar outfit.
Oh yeah, exactly, dude. Oh my god, I just had the weirdest '90s flashback for sure. Those were aggressively on mushrooms. I don't know what was going on with those ads.
No, I think I think they'd have those like late at night, like on Toonami or whatever, late or Adult Swim or whatever the fuck it was, or Spike TV or some shit. And
should
it's
be
Need
popping
Alone,
off.
you know, and it's like some asshole in a caterpillar, and he just looks like he hates his life, and it's like, all right, well, I should be on drugs right now.
100%. All right. Well, on that note, we should actually get on topic because otherwise we're never going to make it to it. So, Chris, you said you did not listen to a ton of MMA podcasts this week. If I remember right?
I don't have an excuse for that. I mean, I could list some fake excuses. It's just let's just say wacky week with work and.
Well, and working in a brewery doesn't really lend to listening to a lot of stuff.
My only excuse is production had me go in morning shifts and then work fucking basically 10-hour shifts for most of the week.
Damn.
So, little difficult to try. Well, I can't have anything in my ear while I'm working around loud equipment.
Probably for good reason. I'm guessing there might be a law or two about that.
And I will always continue to say I am frustrated with my current work schedule because I cannot watch fights on Saturday nights. It is not fun for me.
That's gotta be tough.
Fan. Yeah,
because your brewery is not really like the kind of brewery that can play fights on a TV.
Not at all.
It's a lot of old white people at your brewery.
It's boomer.
I mean, to be fair, it's the area it's in, and also a lot of like the style of brewery. But
all I'll say is, and I'll tell you off camera, we are finally.
This is not off camera.
Well, okay, I'll tell you later. My point is, yes, the style of your
I was gonna say
location attracts a lot of boomers.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of nice young folk since we did the garden renovation and all that. It's been good.
Yeah. The outdoor stuff is dope at that place, and your Instagram's been popping off too. I've been seeing.
Yeah, but other than that, busy. That's why I feel bad. I generally feel bad this week that I don't have anything really to shout out from the podcast side of things. It's embarrassing, but fuck.
Well, you've heard a couple. I think you might have listened to one or two of these things, so we'll get to them. Because I know you at least listened to one of my catches for this week, because it was one of your recommendations from last week. So we will jump into it, and worst case, you can let me know which ones that you are going to check out and catch back up on. So the first of my catches for this week is also our one news piece for this week, which is R.I.P. to the Bash. Man, it is a bummer to see that Pizzi and Niall are ending that show. It's always been fun when it was Eurobash back in MMA fighting, when it turned into the Bash on their own. It's a bummer to see it go. I've always enjoyed it, and I like Pizzi on shows. I think he is, while I don't always agree with him, I think, and same with Niall, I think they're very funny voices in the sport. And while I think they do lean a little bit more towards that access side of journalism, which I care a lot less for than the other sides of it, I still think they have a lot of fun repertoire on podcasts. And also, Pizzi's just a great guest on podcasts as well. And while he's a good host, I think he might be a better guest on most shows. So I'll be excited to see him pop up on more stuff, which I have a feeling he probably will. But they talked about some stuff in this, mostly about like Ngannou's story and Dana immediately saying that Jones doesn't want the fight. At the fucking presser. Fucking Dan.
He's just going to be like, I'm not going to pay him what he wants. He's scared.
Yeah, Dan Todd jerk off Jeff to that bullshit. Fucking, it is alright, bro. Yeah, you're not going to pay him what he wants because you're not in charge. And he's asking for more than 20%. Or 17. Anyway.
Wasn't he asking for like upwards of 20 million?
He's asking for more than 8 to 10 mil, which John Nash pointed out. I think I don't want to misquote, but I want to say it was Hagler Hearns when that happened. They got paid more than 8 to 10 mil, and that's not counting inflation. So
that was how many years ago?
I feel like that's a pretty fair ask, bro. I feel like that's a very good comparison.
How much should McGregor, or what's the biggest payout McGregor had in the UFC? I can't even remember what the most they've actually ever even paid someone.
I mean, it's all lies about McGregor's payouts because McGregor, way overestimates all of his paydays. So
And then the Bash episode, I know it's the last one, is the title. What's the title of the episode? I'm just writing
The
down
Last Rites.
What's it called? The Last Rites?
Yeah, of course. You figure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a very good episode. Both Irish Eyes Are Smiling and The Last Rites, their last 2 episodes, have been very good. They talk a lot about the Reebok deal ending and O'Malley's win, and how the leg questions still kind of linger about O'Malley at this point. And then to end it off, they just take a lot of messages from media and listeners, just kind of sending the show off. And yeah, man, I'm absolutely going to miss it, and I'm excited to see what both dudes do going forward, because I enjoy both their voices in the sport a lot.
Yeah, I think they're important to the sport, like you mentioned, whether it may be, it appears that they might have a little more access style.
Well, they just play the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and exactly. Sometimes it's what you got to do.
And like that's some people's gigs. Like, I don't really hold it against people unless it just completely compromises their integrity, which some people it's proven to have done. But neither Pete nor Niall is anywhere near that list. I mean, if anything, they've been critical to in ways that have probably hurt their access, So I respect it, and I always think they're just fun as hell on podcasts. To be honest, like the accent doesn't hurt, and they're both witty and willing to throw some talk some shit and make some beer drinking jokes, and I just fucking enjoy it. So cheers to them, and I'm gonna miss it for sure.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna monitor and see what they're up to, of course, too. Like you were saying.
For sure, you got to, yeah. Let's see. So I will keep on moving on then. So another catch for me this week is Best Camp in My Life, episode 23. This is, of course, Fernanda Prachas' show that she hosts, and her guest this week was Danielle Riendeau from Fanbyte, which I was so excited to see. I am the person who, forever was trying to get... I think at one point I even tweeted TJ Santos trying to get Danielle Riendeau and Fernanda to do something together. And... evidently, in this episode, they talk about the second Fernanda put out that she was no longer with the Athletic. I guess it was literally a couple hours before Danielle hit her up trying to do something, which is hilarious and very on brand. Because Danielle, if you guys don't know Danielle Riendeau, she is originally from Waypoint Gaming over on Vice. She worked with Austin Walker. And I loved all the content they put out. I still think Waypoint over on Vice does a ton of very cool shit. Vice as a brand is a very weird thing at this point in time.
Yeah.
Shouts to a lot of problematic people. But Vice Gaming has never, and Waypoint specifically, has never been... It's always been super inclusive and dope as hell. Austin Walker was literally brought on from Giant Bomb to do that gig, and he made a team of very dope people like Danielle Riendeau. And so Danielle eventually moved on to work at Waypoint with where she basically was able to be the I want to say managing editor. I hope I'm not fucking that up. I know she's heads up a lot of that team, and she basically created at least on the combat sports side, which is the side I know most about. She brought in a ton of very cool, very interesting people, and it's a really cool conversation about how she essentially went out of her way to just make a big, diverse and open environment to just foster creativity, because that's she openly identifies as a gay person who is into MMA and is trained jiu-jitsu in New York with a team that is very open about stuff, and she's just very sweet and doing a lot of very cool stuff. Also an EMT on the side, a voluntary EMT.
No, cool.
Yeah, she's a volunteer EMT in New York City during the pandemic and shit. And so she's just been getting back into that recently, and yeah, just an all-around the kind of people we need more of in the sport, to be very honest with you. And so that's why it's very cool to hear her and Fernanda talk on the show, just kind of in general. And I know after saying all that, it probably sounds like a very heavy conversation. It's not. It's mostly hilarious jokes. Like, they talk about how Danielle got into MMA a lot through both the Ronda Rousey era, of course, but also through Gunnar Nelson. Evidently, Gunnar Nelson went and grappled the EVE Online team at one point during, like, for some promo thing. Huh. And that's how she first, like, kind of got into MMA outside of Ronda Rousey. And then got into grappling and stuff. Yeah, she's very, very into grappling. Like, training multiple days a week now that she's vaxxed and back at the gym and stuff. Yeah, just all around dope as hell. They talk about the Dana White culture in MMA, super fan culture in MMA, and just like how it perpetuates online in all the worst ways, and you just have to constantly endure that kind of conversation. And they talk a lot about fighters not getting paid and like the conflicting nature of MMA, of wanting to watch it while all the big organizations' business practices are absolutely abhorrent. She shuts out fighters like Leslie Smith, who are striving to make the sport better for everybody. And then on top of that, they also pitch the idea of... They talk a lot about how, like, there's a lot of dudes on Twitter, especially fucking shouts out to our own. There's a lot of white dudes on Twitter, Chris. I don't know if you know this. Mm-hmm. They are out there, and they are convinced they're about to be a billionaire if they just simp enough billionaires. There's a lot of those. Like, shouts to all the Elon Musk fans out there. For sure don't look into how that dude's family owned emerald mines in Africa. For sure don't do that, or else you're about to have a bad day. But, so they talk a lot about that, and then they pitch what might be my new favorite TV show of all time that I think you could actually sell, which is Who Wants to Find Out They're Not Going to Be a Billionaire? And you just bring dudes on and explain to them how they're never going to be a billionaire. I think that's
you know what's funny?
Great premise.
I don't know why I got this ad. I was watching one of those videos on YouTube, like MMA World, where they kind of where they put together like tweets and just stuff MMA fighters say.
Yeah.
They talk about it.
MMA World.
I got some random. Or no, this was a loudmouth MMA, not MMA. No, I can't remember. Fuck, I'll have to. Oh, Full Mount MMA. That's what it is. It's the other really good channel on YouTube. But I got some random ad of some asshole. Like in the Bahamas or somewhere, he's like, just this past year I made $15 million or whatever, shit, some shitty number, shit, like on a jet ski. He's like, let me just give you 60 seconds of my time. I'm like, no,
dude, that is like, amazing.
Yes, would that be entertaining for me? Maybe. I'm like, nah.
He's literally doing the fucking tiny classified ads bit from what fucking stoner movie is that with Danny Masterson? Oh, also don't.
Oh,
Danny Masterson's problematic. I guess if we're shouting out Danny Masterson films, you should watch the one with Anna Faris where he fucks a skull. That's the stoner movie where he fucks a skull, and then he's like the creepy roommate. Anna Faris nailed Danny. Well, no,
so
I should
wasn't
rephrase
method
that.
Acting.
I mean, it felt in retrospect, dude. In retrospect, you should definitely watch Happy Face and have a very. First off, it's a great movie. Anna Faris it's my favorite stoner movie. Anna Faris is an incredible actress, and I will forever stand everything she does after that. House Bunny, not that bad, y'all. It's not good, but Smiley Face is fucking incredible. Danny Masterson's a goddamn creep. I wish I could remember the tiny classified ads one. It's God damn it, John C. Reilly's in it too. Wow. It's a very weird movie. Anyway, Dan Tom in chat is also shouting out that Best Camp in My Life episode and saying that he is cheersing us and Mark and Matt and everybody. So yeah, it's a really good episode of Best Camp in My Life, and I appreciate Dan getting us back on topic. But yeah, overall, it was just a really solid episode. They also talk something about they talk about something I didn't even catch, and I bet you didn't either because we're fucking cis white males, and we wouldn't even think about this, and in retrospect you're like, fuck, man. Stephen A. Smith, do you see this tweet where he thanked everybody?
Wait, say this one more time.
Do you see the tweet where Stephen A. Smith thanked like the entire ESPN broadcast team, like Ariel and fucking Bernakamoto? He tagged everybody in it, and he's like, we have the best team, da da da. Well, I mean, it's not that important, but he tagged everybody on the broadcast except for Megan O'Leary, the only woman on the broadcast.
Oh, no.
And I didn't even notice it at the time. I was like, first off, way to go, ESPN, thanking just ESPN. That's a very on-brand thing for you to do. But I didn't even catch that he didn't include Megan, which makes me terrible. And also, it's the kind of thing, and it's a big part of the reason why I like listening to the shows that Fernanda does and the shows that Waypoint, Jesus Christ, I almost did that. The shows that Fanbyte puts out in general, where they a lot of times will bring up a topic that I just am not aware of or would not have thought of that way. And that's why I think it's so important to have voices that are coming from a completely different perspective in this sport, because dude, I didn't even consider this a thing, and in retrospect, like, yeah, that's not great. That's kind of a weird thing that he just excluded Megan Levy. It's also very weird that I didn't even notice it. Didn't notice it. So yeah, I think it's a very like minute but very clear example of why it's important to have different voices in the sport. And I think Best Camp My Life episode 23 is a great example of unique voices in the sport and why they're important. And also, I love me some Danielle Riendeau and Fernanda Proches, as we'll get to later. But yeah, they're the fucking best, and more content from them is all I'm saying. Chris, this next episode you actually are well aware of. This is the episode MMA on the Rocks, episode 234 you talked about last week. The recap of UFC 260, where Bill Welker not only drinks what sounded like a delicious, like citrusy, orangey kind of beer, but it was a 7%er. But then he pours his whiskey into his beer glass or into his beer can because it was the only glass he had. And yeah, first off, I'd like to say very professional move. And second off, just a fun ass episode.
Yeah, I remember. I enjoyed that episode a lot. I'm glad you got to catch up on it. And
they recap 260 and it's real solid. They talk a lot about Jeff eating his words about Ngannou not learning anything from the first fight, where I think a lot of people did, including myself. Despite Dan Tom out here telling everybody that Eric Nixick is like, be aware that Francis is looking to hit a counter takedown. Dan Tom was preaching that shit all week long, but nobody was listening. I guess I was listening, but I still wasn't listening. So I was like, yeah, I believe it when I see it. Homer ass Dan Tom with the Vegas picks. But yeah, shut my mouth real quick. But yeah, overall, it's a really solid episode. One thing that Bill Welker said on this, which I really thought was, in retrospect, kind of a great take, is he says the first fight felt like watching the first Ngannou versus Stipe fight felt like watching a roadblock or a car crash, it felt like watching a road with black ice on it, just like watching cars drive by on a road with black ice, where it's just like all the time you're like, oh god, is he gonna die? And then he's like, nope, got the takedown. Yeah. And I thought that was a very, very good analogy. Also, they talk about a whole lot of things I didn't even consider with Stipe's KO, which is the leg. You saw his leg get bent all fucked up.
Yeah, I saw that. That concerned me.
He almost got. If you were to make a fighter's name a verb, what verb would you use for that when that happens?
Wasn't that crow cop?
Yep, it would be getting crow copped. And too bad the fucking tired ass Reebok deal is still in place, because otherwise, guess what color shorts Stipe would have been wearing when it happened? Yeah, they point that out, and I was like, fuck, dude, if his leg did that in the fucking the red and white checker shorts, that would have been bad. That shit would have gotten me to hell. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing that I didn't even think about. And then Mark Fellows, who was in chat earlier, absolutely tried to get Bill Welker to take a shoey in chat, which is hilarious. I'm not gonna do it, Mark. If you're in here, I'm telling you fucking right now. It's not. I don't have a new shoe, and I'm not doing it. Also, I respect beer too much. But although Bill Welker, okay, so you know what? I'll make a caveat. Bill Welker says he'd only do a shoey if Billy Q won a title, which I feel like that's fair, because Billy Q's like his good buddy who he trains with. So I'll tell Mark Fellows right now, If Leslie Smith beats Cyborg, I'll do a fucking shoey on air. How about that? Because you know they're fighting, right? Again?
Which guy?
Which guy? Wow, offensive.
Wait, sorry.
Leslie Smith and Cyborg are fighting again?
No, I saw that. Yeah, I saw them. They like faced off and stuff like that. That's great.
So if Leslie Smith beats Cyborg, I'll do a shoey on air. I'll tell you right now.
Wait, when are they fighting? Because maybe I'll do one too.
I don't know, but I
think it's somewhere at the end of April.
I mean, I feel like since Leslie Smith is literally kind of. I mean, I don't know if you can see in the background behind me.
I'll do one too, except I'll have to just make sure it's not the shoe with all the dog hair in it.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Yeah.
Mark Fellows subtly trying to make everybody do shoeys. I'm now realizing. Also, I don't think he's in chat, so I just agreed to that on my own.
It's like, what are you going to do? You're like, hey, what's the name of the beer you're drinking in your shoe? This one's called Athlete's Foot IPA. Bottoms up.
No, okay. First off, Chris, we do have to clarify, since it is Mark Fellows, it does have to be an Imperial IPA. It does have to be at least a double.
I thought you were going to joke and say it has to be a Foster's.
No, it legit has to be a double. He would be so pissed if he did a Foster. He would fly over here and beat you with it. yeah, 100%. That's hilarious. So yeah, officially, we are calling it out. If Leslie Smith beats Chris Cyborg, Chris and I are doing fucking shoeys of double IPAs on the fucking show. Oh god, I'm gonna buy a shoe for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Just go to Payless and get like some Airwalks. I'm like,
I'm gonna get something tight. I'm gonna get like a fucking. Was the shoe?
Just use it. Get the shoes for crews, like for the restaurants.
yeah, there you go. I thought you were saying that. Yeah.
If you want to fuck it up, just do a shoey out of a crock, so it just starts spilling in front.
It's a great move. I'm sure somebody has done that. I'm sure Tai Tuivasa has done that, actually, if we're really being serious. All right. Well, we are way off topic. But overall, great episode, and it's a lot of fun. Bill pouring fucking bourbon into it. I believe it was bourbon into his empty beer can, since he didn't have a glass. Was
I just realized someone's probably done that to someone at a house party or at that. That's fucking mean. Hey man, got you a new cold one. Psych, it's bourbon. But
I feel like
it'd be pretty fucked up though to just start drinking that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that joke works for half a second, and then somebody pours out the entire can.
Yeah, they would
bourbon.
just be like, "This, thanks, man," and like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, you would take like a quarter sip and be like, "That's all right." Well, on that note, let's see. Oh, that's right. You don't have any notes this week, so we'll keep on moving on.
I'm a piece of shit.
Hey, well, to be fair, you did have a lot of notes on that last one, which you did listen to. So,
well, a lot of notes for me.
Well, fair. You did talk about it last week. If people want more notes about it, Protecting Neck episode 253 is my can't miss for this week. Just really solid. Dan Tom has on Schwan Humes to talk about the top 5 tools for fight camp prep, and it is absolutely fucking my jam. Dude, it's my jam. Like, I love Schwan Humes, mainly from MMA Ratings podcast is where I listen to him, although he is on another show that I need to listen to, goddammit. I keep forgetting to. But I absolutely love his content on MMA Ratings with Rafael Garcia. I think they have like a lot of very underrated, not only takes and analysis on fights, but they also have very underrated just conversations about the sport. And they pulled zero punches. Schwan Humes is not afraid to tell people that they're doing trash things in fights, or that they're not listening to clear advice that everyone is trying to give them. And I just think he is one of the rare people in the sport that, like, I'll just put it this way. They talk a lot about how he got into analysis, mostly through just training and spending time in gyms. And he had a lot of conversations with guys like King Mo about King Mo telling him, like, well, yeah, listen, you may not have fought, but like, have you sparred and trained with dudes who fight? Have you been in there with real ass people? Like, you still know what it feels like to get fucked up and hit with like a leg kick or hit by a professional, and like, you've been in there for hard rounds against legit people. So it's really all you can ask for from, I mean, like, yeah, you may not know the crazy adrenaline dump of an actual fight, but you're about as, like, a lot of times that doesn't teach you that much more about technique or analysis, you know? Teaches you more about, like, what might happen in a fight depending on the fighter kind of thing. So it's really interesting hearing them talk a lot about just kind of how he got into analysis in general, especially calling into the Sherdog Radio Network back in the day, which is how, of course, he has the handle on Twitter, Black Jordan Breen, which shouts to Jordan Breen. God damn it. My favorite podcast that's ever existed is still Collapsed MMA with TJ Santis and Jordan Breen, and someday, when we're all old men, and more of us are sober enough to do podcasts, maybe including myself, I hope that I can fund that motherfucker to come back, because goddamn it, that show is so good. But TJ hates podcasting now because he makes actual money from broadcasts, so I don't know if it's gonna happen. Yeah, no, there's no money in podcasting, so Kim, I don't blame him for it. I just desperately plead people to pay him more money to do it. But it's really interesting discussion. They also talk a bit about how some of the calls and some of the requests from camps that they've gotten to do some scouting, like the calls that got them respect, like for example, where was it? I guess I didn't write one down, but they talked about some of the calls that like got them respect on early days of MMA Junkie, as well as like when Schwan did some scouting for King Mo in the Ryzen tournament. And that was the Ryzen tournament that King Mo won, if you remember. Which he was a big underdog. He was not expected to do that well in that thing. And yeah, it's really cool. And then after that, Schwan talks about getting contacted by guys like Stephen Wright and the Pitbull brothers and Team Alpha Male, asking for analysis or getting mad about analysis, depending on who it was. And then for their actual picks, I don't want to give away too many of their top 5 tool picks, so I really think I'm not going to do it justice to just repeat it here. But I will say 2 of the ones that they mentioned that are, you know, some of the ones that you may expect, but still that are interesting conversations, and how you can see that spawn off of that is one of the picks was like psyche in general, just how a fighter's psyche can be a big tool in a camp, and how just the mental side of things is a very underrated aspect of the sport. Another thing was, another tool was the coaching staff not being an echo chamber for itself. Like the coaching staff being willing to question itself and each other, and make have to have hard conversations in camp about what's actually functional and what's not. Because if you just get a bunch of people agreeing, you end up with someone in 2021 saying, "Oh, I'm gonna learn to check leg kicks next fight."
Yeah, it's a very good point being brought up. Essentially, if all the coaches agree, well, a lot of that part of that initial agreement in unison, someone's really going to be hiding what they really think. You know, it's more or less they just go along with it.
Yeah, well, a lot of it also is like, if you don't have someone questioning you, then you aren't auditing yourself either. You know. So like it helps everybody grow as a team, you know. So yeah. And those are like 2 very, very simple things that they brought up. They brought up a lot more technical things, and honestly, it's not going to do me or you any service to try and explain it off the cuff while I'm drinking. But I will say I think it's absolutely worth listening to, and if you are at all interested in the analytical side of the sport, or even interested in how people go about analyzing combat sports, I think it is absolutely worth a listen, because you'll learn a lot. And also, I would argue Dan Tom and Schwan Humes are maybe 2 of my favorite scouts around. I'll say Connor Rebush is on that list probably too. Zayden Simon is like less technique-wise, but more talent-wise on that list. Jack Slack, of course. But these are guys who they're very good at doing tape study and scouting game plans, and that's why their podcasts are generally very good in about those things, right?
And you said this is Protect Your Neck 253, right?
Yeah, 253. The top 5 tools for fight camp prep with Schwan Humes. Schwan Humes is, man, I'm a big fan of that guy, and I think he is one of the most underrated voices in the sport. So I'm always excited to see him on stuff. Him and Stephen the Wonderman, or Stephen the Warman Stephen the Wonderman Thompson, Stephen the Warman Wright, I think are like two of the voices that we don't pull from enough as a community, and they're two dudes who are absolutely willing to give you their opinion if you're willing to listen to it. So big shouts, big shouts to Schwan Humes, and big shouts to Dan Tom for having him on. Dan Tom, as always, with his pulse on the or his finger on the pulse of the MMA community as to the dope shit. So yeah, absolutely loved it. And then my other can't miss for this week is it's something that we've never quite seen before. So Phil McKenzie, that bastard, I feel so bad every time I make that joke, was too depressed for the Depressed Us this week, obviously, as you can imagine. Okay, that's...
as in like he wasn't on.
He wasn't available. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and I was gonna say, or was it worse where he's just there in silence but still watching?
I mean, I like to think of it that way, where he's just silently judging in the background while that bastard Zayd Simon talks. But yeah, so instead of the MMA Depressed this week, there's so many dumb inside jokes in those shows. Instead, they did the MMA Vivisection 2021 UFC Rewind, which was weird but cool. I really enjoyed it. Essentially, they went back and looked at week by week all the main events and their picks, and just kind of reflected on them and like what thoughts do they have going in, what thoughts do they have coming out, like what takes do they have that were right, what takes do they have that were completely bogus, and it was just very cool. They talk about stuff like Ngannou's crazy performances and improvements, since Extreme Couture. Talk about what, if anything, they learned from Holland versus Brunson. They talk about Bilal's ability to find... I believe it was similar to... I believe they made a Tekken reference where Connor's like, I used to have one roommate who... Every time I played Tekken against him, he could just find one thing that he could fuck me up with, and he would just do that one thing over and over again. And then,
I mean, that's how fighting games work.
100%. Well, and he says, and so the roommate would go out of town, and I'd figure out a counter to that one thing, and then we'd play like 4 or 5 games, and he'd figure out a new thing, and then we just have to repeat the cycle. He compares that to Bilal Muhammad's ability to just figure out one thing in a fight and break you with it over time. Like just one kind of like situation or pressure or counter or shot or just kind of game plan that will absolutely bury you over time, and his ability to adapt. And I thought that was a really interesting comparison. They also talked about how somehow all boring fighters get into Bitcoin when they retire. Like the John Fitches, the Ben Askrens, there's more than just those two. Those are the two I remember. It's not a bad take. Some more hilarious takes. They talk about how Izzy is always the worst against burly opponents because it brings out the weeaboo anxieties in him. Is their take. Which is a very I don't know that it's true, but it's very funny. They have a take about Rick Little and an Albatross bit. I'm not going to repeat it out of context because it's fucked up out of context, but it's very, very, very funny. So I absolutely recommend listening to that. And they also talk about how Max Holloway is like the Count of Monte Cristo. He's like 28, but he plans on being 40 tomorrow. And he just recently is looking like the Count of Monte Cristo with the goatee everywhere he goes. And I'm very into that.
I mean, he was the guy who said he planned to have a kid by the time he's 18. So I guess that kind of checks out.
Well, that's Hawaii, though, dog.
Well, yeah.
I mean, to be honest.
I mean, Hawaii. If they're going to settle down, it might as well be at any age, since Hawaii's basically fucking paradise. unless there's a volcano eruption. But
yeah, there's a reason why it's not much older here in San Diego. When there's real good weather and there's a lot of pretty ladies, people be having kids really young, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, overall though, the MMA Vivisection 2021 UFC Rewind is fucking incredible. I highly recommend it. Some other ones real quick that I'll rattle off. Actually, first off, before I get to that, I did listen to a new show. I listened to Friendly Sparring, episode 9. Chris, you should absolutely subscribe to this. Wait, let me make sure it's episode 9.
Yeah, I'm writing all these down.
Friendly Sparring is really good. So let me make sure I have
you said you're going to check the episode number?
Yeah, because I don't want to fuck this. Nope, episode 7. I knew that was wrong. Friendly Sparring episode 7, a.k.a. Peggy Knuckles, is the episode name. This is the podcast that was formerly... Fighting with Myself with Aaron Juice Johnson? I don't know his last name. No, I try and say it out loud. It doesn't matter. Jackson. Aaron, it's Juice. And he's on with his co-host Leo. They actually tell a story in this episode about how when they used to live together in college and the one time Juice ate meat on accident because he is I think vegan, definitely vegetarian. And it's a pretty great story about him confusing hummus with meat sauce.
Oh, Jesus.
Because it was dark and he was either very drunk or high. It's a pretty good story. There's a lot of weird stories in this, actually, now I'm looking at my notes. I don't know how to explain this. They recapped the 260 card briefly. They talked about Bellator 255. We talked about hashtag cancel Juice, obviously, since that's been blowing up. They talk about the weird Zaitar fight with the weird non-stoppage at 260, and like that whole awkward situation. They pitched the idea that if Derek that's in a minute. They pitched the idea that if Derek Lewis does win the belt against Francis Ngannou, he's just gonna pull his dick out and try to get Dana to put the belt on his dick. Which, I mean, I'm not saying I can't see it happening. Let's see. I told you they preview Bellator 255. They also take some listener calls and questions, which is pretty cool. They also are officially the #1 pegging podcast in MMA. That's their claim to fame. You act like I'm joking or making... Go ahead.
No.
On Twitter, go ask Juice if they're the #1 pegging podcast.
No, that's just my face. I think it's hilarious.
They are, in fact. They also, Juice at one point does use the phrase that he'd rather listen to Luke Rockhold hold a seminar about how to talk to women than listen to Gianni the Greek do and fucking talk about odds.
Oh, well, touche to that.
Yeah, that's a solid take right there, and well said. So yeah, highly recommend Friendly Sparring episode 7. That show seems like it's a lot of fun, and I'm gonna be listening to it going forward. Fighting with Myself was always fun with Juice, but I feel like with someone to bounce off of who is 100% willing to make fun of him, I feel like it brings out a lot more jokes, and I'm loving it. So definitely listen to that podcast because it's good. I have a feeling that thing's going places here going forward. Let's see, Chris, do you have any honorable mentions of things you heard MMA related? Just off the top of your head.
Fuck.
I got plenty. I can keep rolling through them.
Yeah.
So CME episode 446 was really solid. That's what you guys heard on the intro with the clip about the assumption of risk waiver that you get to sign for UFC 261. Hashtag don't go. Please don't go. Also, I'm pretty sure I know someone from San Diego who's going.
Okay. And this is the thing that's in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure I know a
This is the
dude
Houston one.
from the forums who's going.
Either way, if it's Jacksonville or Houston,
It's
full
Jacksonville.
capacity. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Speaking of full capacity, I saw the Texas Rangers. They're the only team in all 4 major sports. They had 100% capacity today at their stadium in Dallas.
That'll turn out good.
Oh, yeah. I saw some video. I was like, yep, there's a surge coming.
Yep. There's a surge coming, boys. Anyway, on the clip, you guys are going to hear a clip from Jack Slack Podcast, episode 19. It's fucking great. And this was about John Jones is right despite being an ass. Which, yep, that's pretty much the best way to phrase it.
Yep.
He also talks about how he's going to bully fighters into unionizing. Which, Chris, you're going to have to hear this clip because it's fucking incredible. And then he also talks about the return of All In on Coker, where he just bets all of the favorites on the Bellator card and most of the time wins money. And then he talks a bit about the importance of circling out as well, which is really interesting. Tengridome episode 9 was really solid. Iggy had on Dan Albert and Haxorized. And they talk. They have a big in-depth discussion about what is analysis, and especially when it comes to combat sports. So stuff like the goal of analysts and the goal of and how not all analysts are trying to do the same thing for every fight when they analyze it. Like, you're not always trying to pick who won, and you're not always trying to even, there's different goals depending on what angle you take in analyzing a fight, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion around that idea. Say Os Again, episode 2, was Matt Joya, who we saw in chat, along with Ben Cohen and Tom Elliott. It's one of the funniest episodes I heard this week.
How do you spell it? Say what?
Matt? Oh,
no.
Say Os Again. OSS. Again.
That's what I thought. Okay, I got it right.
It's on the Fight Site Podcast Network.
Okay, let me see.
So you should already have it if you're subscribed to the Fight Site Podcast
I am,
Network.
yeah, because I remember they have kind of like just the different.
Yep, they have them all under the same banner. So yeah, it's on there, and yeah, it's very, very funny. They talk a lot about. It's mostly about how to work an effective butterfly guard, but there's also a lot of great talk about Matt's hilarious gi and his obviously about to happen any day now. I'm positive that Matt's going to have a Black Rifle coffee sponsorship. I'm positive. It's any day now. So can't wait for that. That's why he got the black gi with the red armband, Chris. I don't know if you saw his gi that he got.
No, but I want to look that up, though.
He bought a black gi with a red armband on it, and specifically so that he's like, hey, Black Rifle Coffee, I really could use one of your patches for my gi.
Wait. You said this is Matt Joya, right?
Yeah. It's the best, dude. It's the absolute best. Hey, Mark Fellows, wishing good days in chat.
I know I'm probably spelling his name wrong, but
100% is Gioia. Gioia. I can only read it because it's in chat. Anyway, I'll keep talking. The Fight Site MMA podcast, episode 42, is real solid. Ed's all about hashtag team making the sport real, and I'm very behind that with all the bullshit matchmaking as of late. Let's see. Combat Sports News Recap for UFC 260. I've been loving this fucking show that Iggy does. The Combat Sports News Recap. It's basically like the old version of what Esther Lynn did, where she would read off, for MMA fighting before Esther left, for a bit there during the pandemic. She was just reading sports news, on a, weekly, or, I don't know. I think it was semi-weekly basis. And I love Iggy doing it, number one, because it makes me embarrassed at how Iggy's a better reader than I am when he's reading he's reading one of the multiple languages he knows, and he reads it way better than I read out loud, dude. It's so embarrassing. So that's a thing. But overall, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and he gets wound up while reading the news in a very I would almost call it can we call him the Step Lewis Black? Is that can I coin that term? Because I fucks with it. He does have a tiny bit of a Lewis Black vibe in a way that I absolutely love. Let's see. 6 round retro. The Fight Zone pay-per-view from 1995. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's a weird hybrid pro wrestling kind of scripted MMA thing. It's very weird. It's like not predetermined outcomes, but like it's kind of scripted pro wrestling matches. It's very weird, but it's a lot of fun to listen to. MMA Junkie Radio, episode 3144. So I give MMA Junkie Radio a lot of shit for kind of just spouting Ali Abdelaziz talking points all the time.
Yeah.
Because they do that and they have them on too much, and it makes me feel bad about the sport. However, they also have some great episodes, and it's not fair to not give them credit when they do. And this was absolutely one of them. They had Eric Nixick on, talk about Francis Ngannou's win, and just kind of
nice.
the process of going through that camp, how a lot of people were just not only doubting Ngannou, but just not believing that he was even working on stuff. And kind of just that attitude they had in camp. And then just kind of going through the process. He also has his kid on at the end, which if you guys have seen the clips, you've of course seen his kid freaking out because Ngannou shouted him out.
Great.
The kid was on at the end. It's a very cute interview, and I liked it a lot. It's very good. It's classic. Like when MMA Junkie Radio is good, it's really good. As like just kind of like if you're a fan, you just want to hear like, hey, here's this fighter, here's their thoughts, they're being open, they kind of get the format, they know these dudes personally, they've hung out with them personally because they're all Vegas people. So it was really good. And then the other interview they had was Misha Tate, another person who they know from Vegas personally. They've been around forever, and they talked to Misha about her return and how everybody kind of knew Misha was coming back, but everybody kind of kept it under wraps and all that. Misha said some misty stuff. But, you know, I don't know. Fighters say misty stuff.
Did she say Nunes is scared of her? Just kidding.
Dan Albert bringing up Black Rifle. Dan Albert, you came up earlier as well with your awesome sit-in on, who was it? Tengradome. Absolutely loved it. But yes, Matt's weird obsession with Black Rifle is the only thing better about Matt is his newfound ability to try and wrestle. I can't wait to see how that turns out. Yeah, I'm glad. Also, Dan Albert in chat shouting out Dan, Tom, and Schwan. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Dan, Tom, and Schwan are two of the most underrated people in the sport when it comes to analysis, and especially tape study. Like, good God, those dudes are very good at tape study and always do their homework. Again, MMA ratings. If people are not listening to that show, they really should be, because Schwan always does his homework, even for matchups that he knows like the back of his hand. So, so there's the Misha interview for MMA Junkie Radio 3144. And then they recap 260. Just a very solid episode and a very good example of why MMA Junkie Radio is really good when it's good, you know? And also, Gorgeous Georgia Goes are very personable as well, too. Like, I know I give them a lot of shit just because, for a long time there, they weren't even talking about MMA. Or they were just having Ali on all the time. It's Colby or whoever was just saying horrible, horrible things on air. They were just being like, well, neck pull, that's a crazy take, but I'm going to allow it on my airwaves. So, I don't know. But this is a really good episode, and I'm going to have to check out more of their show as of late. Let's see. Man in the Myth for April 1st was really good. This is the one I think I texted you about, right? Did you listen to any of this with Chris?
I have not, but let me write it down.
It's really good.
This is Chuck Mendenhall's, right?
Yeah, Man in the Myth is back with Chuck Mendenhall and Sean Al-Shadi, and they had Chris the producer back on.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah, Chris Flannery is his name, evidently. He's still over there working at The Athletic in the podcast. So evidently, if you're listening to podcasts produced by The Athletic, he's still producing some of those. But it's very cool to hear him on a show. And actually what they did is they talked a little bit about stuff that's going on. The Bellator attorney and Pitbull becoming a star if Chandler wins the title and stuff like that. And then they do an old school Man in the Myth draft like they used to, if you remember. So a while back they would draft 5 fighters for everyone's a promoter. You draft 5 fighters to your team for a division. You try to make the best division. And so they did a draft with Chuck, Sean, Chris the producer, and Tyler, the new producer. And they each picked 5 heavyweights. And I will just say, their picks are so controversial. I'm so mad about their picks. Let me just say, I think Randy Couture was a round 5 heavyweight pick.
Oh.
What the fuck? I mean, I kind of get it, but not when you hear some of their other picks. Oh my god. It was very frustrating, but a very entertaining fucking episode. So, anyway. The Lucas Grandsire podcast. I fucking hate that every time I type out the Lucas Grandsire podcast, my motherfucking Google Notes tries to correct his name, and I almost end up calling him the wrong name every time. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing it. Yep, it's Lucas Grandsire. Sorry about that.
Is that Grand and an S-I-R-E?
You nailed it. And he had an episode where he interviewed Craig Allen, formerly of Loudmouth MMA. You guys would know him from, if you listen to Between the Links, before it was on MMA Fighting. He was one of the funniest people on that show, and the one of the resident, I guess there was a bunch of resident Canadians now that I think about it, but he was absolutely one of my favorite people on it. Yeah, it's absolutely a blast. I love Craig Allen. I love some of the stuff he's doing, both with Fight Night Picks and with his new show. Oh boy, what's the other one that he does? We've talked about it on this show. I cannot remember off the top of my head. That's going to drive me nuts. Question mark kicks. QMQ. Anyway, he's been doing a bunch of shows, and I've really enjoyed him. And yeah, he talks about doing fight companions a lot recently, and they discuss a lot of the old Loudmouth days. Really fun. Just really enjoyed it. Super solid, and I love Craig Allen on stuff, man. Yeah, Lucas's show is just, it's slowly becoming like a go-to for me for interview shows, for sure. Let's see. Dan in chat writing me goddamn novels like I'm going to be able to read them on air while drinking. Here, Chris, you want to read some of that and be able to dissect that for me while I'm talking? Verbal Tap, episode 453 was real solid with Joe Selecki. Heavy Hands, episode 362 was real solid. Severe May, episode 305 was pretty good. And Protecting Act 252, the 260 After Party with Brad Tashik was good as well.
Oh, I remember how I was telling you before I had the thing muted?
Yeah.
I see now why. Okay, so I wouldn't hear myself echo.
Well, since Chris did none of the things I was talking about, all I see is the stuff about how Matt is probably the worst in chat. This is a lot to read, Dan. Love Matt. I'll just read random sentences just to fucking piss Matt off. His plans to turn people making fun of him into self-deprecation is endless. I love Matt though. I'll just go with those 2 lines. I just picked 2 random ones. Oh, Dan's got to work. Hey, Dan, appreciate you swinging by, buddy. And yeah, Matt is one day going to be able to wrestle, and I can't wait for it. It's going to make his omoplata game that much more effective. See, I can't grapple for shit, so I don't know why I'm joking. Matt will roll me up in a goddamn ball. But I think, Chris, this is a great segue into us taking a very quick break and then coming back for a pretty quick breakdown of this Bellator card, because I've got about 5.5 fights I want to talk about.
Yeah, I'd say 5.5 for me as well, too.
And quick spoiler, I actually... okay, TLDR, Matt's an egomaniac stud and a swell dude. I feel like that kind of nails Matt. Just like we're trying to nail Matt, you know what I'm saying? Ayo! All right, we're out of here. We'll be right back. This has gone off the rails. All right, Chris is sober. That's got to be awkward. All right.
It's not.
Hey, not yet. All right, here's a clip from Jack Slag talking about how he's going to bully fighters, and we'll be right back.
Liked by violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organize, bitch, if you think that they're particularly red scare inclined.
By the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, like, Red Scare inclined.
By the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, like, Red Scare inclined.
by the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, Red Scare inclined.
By the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organize, bitch, if you think that they're particularly like Red Scare inclined.
By the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organize, bitch, if you think that they're particularly like Red Scare inclined.
right, everyone, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
We are back to quickly recap, of course, Bellator 255, Pitbull versus Sanchez II. Their first fight being in 2018, I believe. It was like November or something like that, or October.
Yeah, something along those lines. Although, before we get to that, though, Chris, we should shout out briefly some honorable mentions for this week, since we forgot to in the first segment.
Yes.
Do you have any honorable mentions of like non-MMA stuff you wanted to give a quick shout out to?
Fuck. Just Reddit in general. Just some of what you and I were quickly mentioning that maybe we won't mention.
You can say subreddits making fun of comedy podcasts, who people would assume. I don't necessarily want to give any homeless cats out there a specific shout out, but I will say certain subreddits are fucking very funny nowadays.
Yes, things are going on in the Midwest or out west. Well, not our far west, but you know, where Cobra doesn't exist. That's the clue.
It's not. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, some less weird shout outs that I listened to this week that I'll segue into. Worst Year Ever. This is a podcast hosted by Robert Evans along with Cody Johnson and Katie.
I just started following that.
I wish I could remember Katie's last name, and I apologize very much. Katie starts with an S. It's Stoll, I want to say, but I think I'm fucking that up, so I apologize a lot in the fact that I'm probably fucking that up. But they did an entire episode on the attack in Echo Park by the police in Los Angeles, and how they basically just fucking...
Katie Stoll and Cody
Johnson. It what? See? Hey, y'all. Drunken recall's a thing. Or my memory's not as much of a fucking sieve as I think it is.
You need to just pull a beer fest and just yodel more.
See, yeah. See, my problem, yeah. Leave my brother alone. No, but yeah. Honestly, I just don't trust myself to not combine three names when I say one, especially in one of those cases where I'm like grasping in the air. But yeah, Katie Stoll, Cody Johnson, and Robert Evans, and they had the great episode that we retweeted recently about the I think it's a farm, but it's a sanctuary in the Midwest. I don't want to specify a state. If you want to look it up, you can look it up. But they are a sanctuary for they consider kind of like a trans haven for trans people, where they can go and like be safe. And they're currently under attack from shitheads in the local area. Which is awful. And Worst Year Ever, this week they covered the attack on Echo Park, where, if you don't know, in Los Angeles, essentially the police decided they're going to try and kick everybody who is houseless in Echo Park out of the area. And so a bunch of protesters showed up to try and say, like, hey, you can't just fucking... Like, obviously, it's LA. Nobody can live anywhere. It's a fucking park. Don't just kick a bunch of fucking people out into the streets at gunpoint. And so a whole bunch of people were arrested, and it was a horrible thing. And if you would like to... Which you should learn more, just so you're aware of kind of the way police are a problem in this country. And just a way that, hey, man... in a very dark and serious moment, homelessness in America is not going to become less of a thing, and or houselessness. Sorry, I apologize. And we just pretending like it doesn't exist is not helping anybody, especially in the midst of horrible fucking pandemics and shit. So. Be a person, understand people are people, and let's all try and do better and not let police fucking push people out of places where they're just trying to not die. Pro tip. Other things to briefly bring up that's less depressing, but also very depressing. Knowledge Fight podcast is a great thing. It's all about how Alex Jones is a giant piece of shit, and terrible, terrible person. But also, he's not terrible for the reasons you think. He's way worse than that, but for way more clear and decisive reasons, which he states constantly on his own shows. And this is essentially a show that just audits Alex Jones's rhetoric. They literally bring up the articles he references, they audit what he's actually saying versus what the article says, and then you can understand why half the goddamn country is a bunch of animals who don't understand anything. Also, I can't use the phrase bunch of animals because that then literally has the weird phrasing that Alex Jones uses where there's like a weird racial thing. Whereas what I'm trying to say is people don't actually read because Alex Jones is unable to read, which he proves over and over again on his show. Anyway, something that's much... Okay, you want to tag on that? Well, before I segue?
Not on him. I had one podcast I did listen to, which was extremely entertaining. And
sure.
Spoiler, it's Robert Evans involved. But
yeah,
I listened. Should I just get into it? No.
Wait, is this the fucking the Behind the Bastards with the part one about maybe the most entertaining comment of all time?
Yes.
This is an insane... I'm so glad you reminded me of this. This is maybe the craziest story that I'm so surprised it's not a movie. It's crazy.
I listened to probably about 75% of it on and off, but it was fucking so goddamn entertaining.
This is... You guys probably know... Chris, go ahead and say what episode it is, and then we'll talk for a second about it.
Oh, then let me look at the number. It is called it's just called Part 1, The King of Con Artists, Victor Lustig.
Yeah, and this is the guy that if you guys have ever heard anything about someone once selling the Eiffel Tower twice, this is that guy. And it's way crazier than that.
He would, let's just say...
Or 1.5 times, yeah.
He would have someone sew into the lining of his suit jacket $10,000 or more, just so he always has emergency funds to con people with.
100%. Also, he would sell people money printing machines, but then he would tell them that it won't, if you try and print the money before 36 hours, it won't actually print and you're going to break the machine.
Yep.
So he would be able to escape. One time a dude caught him and found him, and he's like, hey, I accidentally did it before the 36 hours. He's like, well, you broke it. You have to buy a whole new one off me.
25 grand. Baby.
He sold him a second one.
And then,
this is 25 grand in like the fucking 1920s in the Depression.
And then, the thing I thought that was hilarious.
The best. He's also just robbing for rich people, which makes it way more fun.
Also, apparently, he was so handsome that prostitutes told him, "No, you don't have to pay. Let's have fun."
Yeah, no. Well, and even more fun than that, though. He not only sold the Eiffel Tower, the dude was so embarrassed that he got played. The dude didn't tell anybody, so he was able to try and do it again. It's the best story. Oh my gosh, yes. You should absolutely listen to the Behind the Bastards episode. That's such a good call, Chris.
But it's like, this guy is a piece of shit, but it seems like at least he didn't, from what I was, at least he didn't like murder or kill anyone.
No, like he was all like, compared to most of the people on Behind the Bastards, that is he is like the best case scenario, and it's mostly like Robin Hood if Robin Hood only benefited out of it. But
yeah, it's just selfish Robin Hood.
Yeah, super selfish Robin Hood. But it's a goddamn blast, and yeah, oh my god, I guarantee you guys are gonna see a movie about that one of these days. Let's see. So some other things I have to shout out. The podcast You Love to See It. This is actually, I talked about Danielle Rando at Fanbyte. She has a new show, or a show they've been doing actually for a while. I think they're like 70 episodes in. It's just new to me because I've been meaning to catch up on it, but I haven't yet. I still haven't to this day. I'm shouting it out before listening to it. I'm just very excited because I found out about it this week. It is You Love to See It. Danielle Rando and people basically watch a movie and talk about it. However, Fernanda Proches has been joining them recently. And I just found out they've recently done Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Where,
with the gammy.
yeah, he's like, yeah, no, everywhere. Always, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of problematic, yeah. Also, speaking of problematic, Rocky, and thirdly, speaking of problematic, Point Break. Our video or movies that they've done recently. Point Break was this week, and I'm very excited to hear Fanetta and Danielle Riendo talk about Point Break in a way that I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, Pulver, why be a slave to the law when you can be its master?
Yeah. Hey,
You
listen.
talk?
I'll fist fight Flea on a beach right now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's great.
God
It's a
damn,
great
that
thing.
seems. You guys hate me, right? The yuppie? No, we just want to fuck you up.
Oh my god, it's so dumb. Although, to be fair, Flea does look like a lot of Nazis on the beach in Huntington Beach that I've come across. So,
God damn it.
to be fair, speaking of Ram members, not that Flea is one, but he sure looks like a lot of them. Oh god. I'm not even kidding. I literally met dudes on Huntington Beach at skate parks that look like Flea that are fucking with SS bolts.
One more honorable mention, well-rounded. Speaking of, on the topic of Point Break and Keanu Reeves, I watched the movie Speed for the first time in probably about 10 years.
Oh, that's a good one, dude.
That movie is fucking great. I don't punch anyone who disagrees.
It's a lot of fun. Like, underrated fun.
Dennis Hopper, just perfect as a fucking crazy, fanatical, just madman.
Oh, he's great at that. Yeah, it's his whole thing.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the whole movie is fucking gold. Yeah. I mean, if you're a kid growing up in the '90s, Sandra Bullock had you.
Oh my god, yeah.
Way, so
yo, I was feeling some type of way about Miss Congeniality. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that too. So, yeah, shouts out to Speed. Goddamn it. Not Speed 2 though.
Or what are you talking about? Speed 2 with Cuba Gooding Jr. dressed up as a lady and went on the boat?
Yes, that one.
Is that the one? I don't remember. I don't remember a lot about Speed 2. Oh no! Wait, Speed 2 is the one where it drives up on the land for like 4 or 5 minutes in that movie, right? Is that the one? Because actually, I'm now remembering the end of Speed 2, and it's the best.
The European captain.
Yes, it's the absolute best.
6 knots. And he like starts shaking.
No, it starts shaking, and there's like 6 minutes of cutaways to like just boats barely moving through again. Oh, it's so good.
And you just see Willem Dafoe like all coked out, just like stressing out.
Yeah, 100%. Also, we're still not even to our fucking recap yet.
It's all good. We're just making time. You know.
I mean, yeah. Hey, Chris, you know what we're doing? We're, you know what? Shout out to the movie Buffalo 66 before I do this, because nobody's going to know this reference. We spanning time. Chris, you see us together? We're spanning time. My cars shift themselves. They're luxury cars. They shift themselves.
Oh, and one more while we're on it, since we're spanning time. When I was at work yesterday, there was a dog. I don't know if it was some sort of terrier or Jack Russell Terrier. It looked exactly like the stoner dog, Jackal.
Yeah.
I swear to you, it was just.
Don't touch Jackal's pipe, man.
Yeah, you touch his pipe, he does not like. And then they say something, and then fucking David Herman, of course. He just like, choice excellent, my friends. It's like, who the fuck says that? I'm like, oh wait, that was like part of that movie. That movie's fucking ridiculous. The movie's terrible, but
it holds up real well. Like in a in a fun '90s kind of way. Like it holds up in the same kind of way that like I would argue it holds up actually in a lot of the same ways that Bill and Ted holds up. In that like it's such a characterization of the time period that it like kind of bangs, bro. Like, that movie's kind of tight.
And I'll say this, on that same movie, if I'm not drinking next week, spoiler alert, the beer that I will have, as Andy Dick kept saying, remember he played the freak in the cage? And he's like, give me your beer, please, shut up. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Athletic Brewing. I'm gonna have a beer from them. I'll get some this week. And
hell yeah, I would love to see that,
it's 0% alcohol. And my coworker, our brewer...
Yeah, I've heard good things, actually.
He's telling me that it's legitimately, like, good-tasting beer.
Yeah, I've actually heard good things from them, and then
That
there's
is what I will do for this weekend. Excuse me, it's Monday, so I will have beer from Athletic.
Yeah, there's actually a couple breweries. I think that we have 2 or 3 breweries now that are NA breweries. But dude, I would love to get your take on that. That'd be cool as hell. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'll have that by the next time we record. I will have Athletic Brewing beer. And I'll let y'all know on air.
That'll be tight, dude. I'm very excited for that. I guess I'll rattle through some other honorable mentions I have. So, if you're in San Diego or near San Diego and you would all give a fuck about vinyl records, I recently, or I should say girlfriend Karen and her mother recently came across a place in Escondido that just has giant record blowout sales every weekend.
Oh, sick.
So, for example, this last weekend, I got Abbey Road for $5.
Ooh.
Like, not the cover, but the actual vinyl is like legit Abbey Road, which I haven't had since I was a kid. Since I had it way back, like growing up. Oh, I should not have pulled this all the way out of the sleeve because now I'll try to put it in more high. Some other albums I got a Black Sheep single. Bam. I think I made a Black Sheep reference earlier in this episode, actually. That's what that was in reference to. And then lastly, Chris, I got the coolest of all albums. If you were to say, what album do you think I'm about to hold up of a rapper, what would your first guess be of it? If it was a joke rapper, I'll even give you that.
Oh, fuck. Oh, god damn it.
It's not going to be right no matter what you say, so just say one.
Okay. I want to say it's that joke rapper that used to go along with Diddy in like the early 2000s.
I'll give you an even better one. Sports rapper.
Fuck.
Who is a sports rapper?
Oh, sports? I mean, I know this guy raps a lot about sports. Fucking.
Nope.
Not real.
Athlete rapper.
Oh. Wait.
Of a vinyl.
Oh, God. Tyron Woodley?
Even better. Yeah, boy.
Can't see. Oh wait. Oh, Shaq. That's Shaq, right?
Mr. Outstanding over here, because Shaq is outstanding. Yeah, I got a fucking Shaq vibe. This is the kind of things I do. I'm very happy about it as well.
What's crazy is someone would buy that off you on eBay for like $200 probably.
For real though, I didn't even get that. I just told girlfriend Karen to give me fucking goofy shit or old school rock albums, and I came back with like a bunch of some decent rap shit, some like Missy Elliott singles, shit like that. Yeah, it was pretty tight. Some Heavy D singles, and then like fucking a Shaq album, and I was like, I don't care about everything else. The Shaq album is the tightest thing. I mean, I guess the Beatles shit too, but I had Abbey Road way back in the day, but my parents are bad at holding on to things. Anyway, the only other things I was going to shout out is I tweeted out, I think, actually during the week that I watched the old school... Chris, I don't know if you've ever seen this. The old school Spike Jonze skate video, Blind Video Days. Like, you know, everybody talks about Spike Jonze as from skate videos, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like the director, everybody always talks about like, oh yeah, he came from skate videos, and that was his whole lineage. But the actual video he came from was the Blind Video Days, which had Jason Lee in it, which people don't remember.
Yep, before he got into acting, and well, I guess I mean I imagine Jones is always a director writer, and then just also is just in.
This was when he was in college.
Okay.
It was in the 90s in college where he was just like around skateboarding and a bunch of kids who like were in the inner city were skating. And dudes like Jason Lee and dudes like a lot of guys. I mean, everybody on the Blind team at that. I mean, if you know Jason Lee, you know a lot of the Blind team at that time. And then, yeah, he filmed all of it, and most of skate videos can be ascribed to Spike Jonze, essentially. Like, he invented the way skate videos look, essentially. I think he was the one that made popular the camera that everybody shoots with. I know he was one of the big proponents.
Like a fisheye?
of the fisheye and the close follow shots. Like, he's one of the first people to make that a consistent thing. And I think it's the VX. I think it's the VX1 is the camera that everybody used at the time. I mean, there's a billion variations at this point. But yeah, he is like one of the first dudes to establish that style of shot. And he completely changed the industry. And so I watched that, and then I watched Mallrats as a follow-up, and it's maybe the greatest combo of all time as far as Jason Lee's content. I get that Jason Lee is a fucking terrible Scientologist with bad views about...
Oh, you reminded me. Oh, not him. That's right.
Yeah, it's very not good. It's very upsetting when you realize...
I remember the other upsetting one was when I found out Michael Pena, too. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's really bad. Especially if you've... again, shouts to Behind the Bastards. Go ahead and go listen to the L. Ron Hubbard episodes Behind the Bastards, and then just slit your fucking throats if you're a Scientologist.
I have to listen to one, because I remember he did make a lot of L. Ron Hubbard shout-outs.
Dude, there... Oh, yes. Oh, he made so many of them that I went back and listened to those episodes. L. Ron Hubbard is a fucking maniac. He's like a pants-shitting maniac.
Well, have you ever heard him talk? Like,
dude, he just took to the sea for years with people and would throw them overboard if they disagreed with him, right?
Oh, yeah, the movie The Master with Joaquin Phoenix.
Dude, but it's so much crazier than that. Yeah. It's so much crazier.
Look at any episode of South Park
that
shits on, specifically the Scientology-centric episode. They... there's a way one character talks, but even Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they said they made fun of the way L. Ron Hubbard talked. Apparently, he would be like this. He's like in Scientology, you have to be the supreme ruler or something.
He definitely does have a very weird cadence. That's undeniable.
I just remember he's like the supreme ruler.
Oh my God, Chris, you have to listen to this Behind the Bastards episode because he sings.
Oh no!
At the very last one, they play a song that he made from the Church of Scientology about how everyone's gonna die because they don't listen to the Church of Scientology, and he does a lot of the what I could only describe as the Dr. Frankenfurter Rocky Horror Picture Show until the day he dies. Like, he just does that. Like, he just constantly goes for the until the day he dies. Like, it constantly does the weird bass tone. You're like, this is the most uncomfortable. And it's like very upbeat music, but then it's just like weird, dark fucking bass note. It's the worst. It's so uncomfortable. Anyway, we're off topic again.
Wait, one last shout out real quick.
Please. This is what we're here for. Let's be honest.
I ended up watching, and it was very entertaining.
Also, before you get to that, though,
yes,
I do want to repeat Mallrats is also very good, along with Blind Video Days. And maybe you'll get yourself a chocolate-covered pretzel, but maybe make sure it's wrapped.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I watched Kong vs. Godzilla.
Dude, okay.
And so, this is the quick review. Anytime a human character opens their mouth, just don't pay attention. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
Other than that, pure spectacle, lots of fun. Holy shit. So many Easter eggs to so many movies, whether it's just the Avengers, fucking just any sort of science fiction movie, and even throwbacks to the old school Japanese, like Godzilla stuff, in War of the Monsters and all that. So much fun. Even Mortal Kombat stuff in there, too.
Dude,
it's pretty...
Wow, I'm kind of excited to see that now.
It's very entertaining. Yeah, there's a lot of moments I'm just like, fuck yeah, and when it's just the spectacle part. So
yeah, I'm actually pretty fucking hyped to see that. I did not know that was gonna be the case. I'm always so like fucking skeptical about that shit.
So and then one last thing for me. Remember, just a reminder to everyone listening and or watching, or we will be doing, at least still in the plans, I believe, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
a week and a half.
That's kind of our plan. There's a week off somewhere in here, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think in the next couple weeks there's one coming up. Because I know this week was a week off, but we were intentionally... Or maybe it was such a bad card, we're going to skip it, if I remember right.
I think that's what we planned.
I think one of the next cards... I think it might be the next one. Not this one this weekend, but the one after that. We'll look into it. But, yeah, it'll be interesting nonetheless. But, pretty excited for it. Also, the only other thing I have to shout out before we get into this... You know what? We'll take another break here in a second. Just for posterity. So that way we can at least have a clean break between these fucking episodes. Or between these segments. So it's not just a fucking full-on 20-minute segment about fucking not the card we're going to talk about. So lastly, on this segment 2, like we used to do. This is a shout out to our old school days, Chris, where we had 3 segments in a show.
Yep.
The last segment is the X-Files. I've been watching a lot of the X-Files and smoking a lot of weed. Like, I'd be taking nights off drinking and just be getting real high with girlfriend Karen and watching the X-Files. Maybe taking a little bit of edible here and there. That shit is the jam, dude.
Hell yeah.
Like, the X-Files is very, very campy and bad. It doesn't age. It ages worse than Twin Peaks, but it's way, like, Twin Peaks you have to invest time in. This is like, this is gonna be so insulting and people are gonna be so mad when I say this, but I seriously mean it. It's the Guys Grocery Games of sci-fi shows. You know what I mean? It's just so, like, of the week sci-fi, like, fucking I guess to be fair, I am in the middle of the Monster of the Week portion of that show. So that's probably what I'm referring to, but still, that show's pretty good. Anyway, we're going to take this break again, and by break, I mean, I don't know, I'm going to play one of the 2 clips we already played, and then we're just going to come right back in. I just feel like I need to break this up, or else what the fuck did we just do for the last 20 minutes? So we'll be right back. It was, oh God. Well, 30 minutes on our clock, 20 minutes on the other clock.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Anyway, be right back.
Liked by the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or, you know, fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. If I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot, I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying "unionize, bitch" on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or, you know, being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, like, Red Scare inclined.
by the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot. I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, Red Scare inclined.
Liked by the sound of violence.
We're getting dangerously close to the fighters reaching sentience and realizing that they should be unionizing, or fucking players association, whatever you want to call it, collective action to negotiate with your employer. And when Brunson said that, I was like, excellent, we're making good progress. I will bully the fighters into collective action within the next 5 years. I bullied Michelle Waterson into having a good fight and bullied Michael Chandler into a title shot. I'm confident that I can get these guys to unionize just by replying unionize, bitch, on any complaint any fighter ever has about getting offered a fight wrong, or being accused of being scared because he wanted more money. And I encourage any listener to the podcast, if you ever see a fighter complaining about their circumstances, unionize, bitch is the best response under all circumstances. Or organise, bitch, if you think that they're particularly, like, Red Scare inclined.
All right, we're back again.
Yeah, we are. Part 3, like the old school days.
Oh yeah, and this time
we're actually going to talk about the card we said we were going to talk about the last time.
But first, let me just talk about another
1,400 other things. Have you guys heard about kombucha? I don't even like kombucha.
Have you heard about near beers that taste good? No, okay. Yeah, all right, let's get into this. I'll let you go ahead and start off with the 2 fights I think you wanted to mention that I didn't catch.
So the only fights, there's a couple fights here early on in this card that were interesting, but I don't know how much I really have to say about them other than, they're weird that they happened. I mean, it's always weird watching Roger Huerta fight in 2021. It's a weird thing.
I didn't even know he's still fighting, but yeah, that's definitely weird that he's still fighting.
Yep. Even weirder that he's fighting in Bellator. Did not go well. He got clipped, clinched, and dumped all within like a minute. And then he got stuck on bottom and ground and pounded for like a whole round. Second round, he got stuck in bottom and he got ground and pounded for like 30 seconds in. He eventually got to close guard. He worked an elevator sweep at like 145. I think it's elevator sweep. Fucking yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong and please tell me what it is, Matt. and the fights I do.
I was gonna say elevator sleep sounds difficult to pull off unless you're stuck.
No, yeah, but elevator sweeps though, they'd be different. Let's see. He got up through bungalows and then got taken down again, and then another takedown in the third, and it was a really weird tap from Roger Huerta in the third. He tapped punches from back mount, but I gotta imagine it's an injury because he tapped when he got mounted again. And, like, dude was not raining down shots, but was about to, and he tapped kind of thing. It was weird. I don't know. It's the kind of Bellator fight that makes me not like watching Bellator, to be honest. It's like,
can you ask Charlotte what she thought? I saw her. She made
a
did you see? Cameo.
Yeah, you see. Hey, Chunkers. Charlotte, come here. Come here. Come here. You're not going to come here? You hate me and you just want the door open? Okay, I'm going to ignore you until you come here then. Yeah, I'm going to have to go open that door for that bitch in a minute. I already know. The other prelim... Hey, Charlotte, you want to come here? The other prelim is the Magomedov... Magomed... Hey, there you go, pretty girl. Come here. This is Charlotte. She's a very, very cute girl. She's a part Maine Coon, and she's a big old chonker of a cat. She's a big old chonker. You doing good? Okay, you hate this. I'm gonna let you, calm down. I'll let you out. I'll let Chris talk. Give me a whole minute, and then I promise you know what, Chris? You wanna? How much do you know about Magomedov? While I quickly open and close this door.
So I'll spit some truth here. Magomedov.
Go ahead, baby.
His name is almost repetitive. Well, it is for the first part of his name. It's alliterative, that's for sure. He faced off against opponent C.J. Hamilton, who may or may not have appeared in the movie Hustle and Flow, or might have been related to Terrence Howard.
Yeah, the whiny ho who's related to Hustle and Flow.
Yeah. Not only did C.J. Hamilton not whoop that trick.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what we were doing. The last thing I said right before I left the mic was whiny ho, and then I came back and the first thing you said was Hustle and Flow. So it really threw me off. I love that joke though. I'm 100% here for it.
No, I talked about how Magomedov, his parents love alliteration in their children's names, as well as never mind.
No, you nailed it.
I don't know what I was going with there. I was going with, it's like your name is.
I think you got
Chris
all.
Christopherson.
Yeah, you got all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magomedov essentially did what you would expect him to do to C.J. Hamilton. To be fair, there was a bunch of really weird scrambles off entries from both dudes in this fight early on. But as soon as Magomedov got top position, it was just pure fucking dominance. Probably a 10-8 in the first round, just off the amount he was throwing damage. Including the giant back-to-back throw. I don't know if it was technically a suplex, because it was one of those like sloppy angles where I don't know. I bet somebody would call it maybe not a suplex, but big ass throw from back-to-back clinch and to end the first. And let's see, bunch spinning back kicks to and flying knees to open the second. Essentially, he clinched and CJ grabbed guillotine. Magomed moved to the opposite side and then just immediately in a scramble took the back with a standing RNC and got the finish. Yeah, it was nasty. That dude is a problem, and it was a late notice matchup. I believe it was short notice, and also opposite stance, which is pretty tough. And yeah. Man, very dominant performance. Kind of the performance you would want to see out of him, but still very dominant. And that dude is someone to keep an eye on in that division.
Oh, yeah. Good win by Magomedov.
Yeah.
The next fight I caught because it's the start of the main card.
I'm excited to hear you talk about this fight because I've been very high on both these women.
So I know Kana Watanabe, if I recall, is a judoka. I did this. She put on a very good
Ryzen,
display.
I believe, right?
Yes, and Alejandro Lara, who's a very game opponent as well, very well-rounded, likes to blitz in, kind of throws barrages, gets her opponent against the fence. She also had some nice transitions, just I guess with her grappling game herself, when Watanabe mostly had her just in like just side control, or she was kind of used her hips to kind of keep her down, right? There's that one position she was in.
Yeah, so there was actually a couple. So Watanabe was getting lit the fuck up on the feet early.
Yeah,
and they both went pretty off balance just in exchanges, and Watanabe was able to get a takedown. But Laura was able to get back up and get a takedown from clinch, and then immediately got the back in the first. And yeah, that first round, It's kind of close. I might give that to Laura. I think there's a split decision in the end, if I remember right. But yeah, they're both landing and connecting. Like there was a bunch of scrambles in that first round, and then in the second round, Kana hit the trip takedown into half guard, or she eventually ended up in half guard. I don't remember if she hit it into half guard. And then at one point there was a half guard sweep from Laura, but she ended up giving up the back. And I ended up having Kana in rounds 2 and 3, but it was pretty fucking competitive for at least the first two. I know for a fact, it's undeniable that Laura won the first round. Second round is like pretty back and forth, and then third round Kana started getting some advantages in the grappling, but still pretty competitive, so.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fight.
Yeah, it was a scrappy as shit, dude. Like some of those exchanges, especially the scrambles off of like takedown attempts, were pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch this card again, but just from the first viewing, it was an entertaining fight. Lots of different things mixed in all around, and good moments from both opponents. But yeah, I definitely think they got it right. Like you said, Lara got the first round for sure, just based on just her strikes landed, sniffing strikes landed alone.
She was landing bombs at the beginning of that fight. And then, like, eventually Conor was starting to find a little bit more of a range and landing a couple, but still getting clipped the fuck up. Yeah, it was a wild... I'd see why it's a split fight, because it was very close. And honestly, if I give it another rewatch, I might have a different opinion, but as of right now, yeah, I gotta lean Watanabe just slightly.
And speaking of getting lit the fuck up, and I didn't even notice the records on both of these opponents, or both of these fighters. Usman or Magomedov, who I can't remember if he's related to Khabib. I know some of those guys like to just share the same last name.
It's hard to tell. They all call him cousins. Like, I believe he's a cousin, but like they all.
I think he actually is related to him.
It's hard to tell which ones are actually cousins and which ones he just calls cousins.
Yeah, because I think there was the one guy.
I mean, it's like North County, bro. To be fair, it's like it's a lot. Now that I think about it, it's actually a lot like it's a lot like fucking Sacramento and Fresno, where it's like everybody who's like second cousins or friends of cousins all call each other cousins. So maybe it's not actually a Dagestani thing. Maybe it's a maybe it's a Fresno.
Could be.
You know what I mean?
But what a dominant performance, though, by Usman or Magomedov. My goodness. That jab. Just the kicks to the body.
Just absolutely paw-shot him at range.
Even when Mike Hamill thought he had him in trouble and grabbed Nurmagomedov's back, he would quickly get out of trouble.
Yeah.
Dude was just calm, impressive. And Khabib, who's a coach now, I guess full-time, right? Or just when he wants to be, was in his corner.
And absolutely, dude, Mike was busted up by even the end of the first round, but by the end of that fight, one dude looked like he went through 5 rounds of hell. One dude looked like he's sparring. It was brutal.
Also, what are your quick thoughts on the commentating? I think I read they got rid of Goldberg.
Way better. Yeah. Mauro Ranallo subbed in for Goldie. Way better. I'm glad you brought that up.
Like, yes, it is. It's part of Mauro's thing where he's corny as shit with some of the stuff he says.
But it's way better than Goldie.
Though. Yeah.
Where it's just like, it's not just repetition catchphrases that don't apply to things that are happening. Yeah, exactly. Like,
or his precision is precise.
Yeah, like Mauro cares about the sport and is reacting in real time. Goldie has catchphrases that he tries to shove into. Like, I almost made a very bad analogy. Nope, I'm gonna stare right away from that.
He makes bad catchphrases as if you're like trying to put your tent away in a tent bag. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the phrase I was gonna go with. I definitely wasn't gonna use any kind of Spearmint Rhino stripper and executive reference. Just definitely gonna go with the tent bag. It's also what Dana calls the hookers he hooks up with. All right, let's go.
Like tent bag number 2, right this way.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I feel bad about that. I don't like what I just did. I apologize for that. I feel bad about it. I don't like that I did it.
I would have a drink right now. But...
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm going to, Chris, and that's a bad idea. So this Tyrell Fortune fight. Oh boy, did he fuck up old boy.
Yeah, so just from the get-go, what a mismatch. Jack May is a tall human being, albeit...
he's a big old dude.
Isn't there in the wrestling department, though.
Yeah, but this is definition all-in on Coker move.
Yep, I saw the record fell to 11-8, and it says Tower Fortune. Oh, climbed to 10-1. Okay, this wasn't a Coker fight.
No, yeah, but the all-in on Coker record, to be fair, I mean, Jack Sock is not wrong when he has that bit where he's like, yo, whoever's the favorite is obviously going to win because that's how Bellator match makes, and it happens 90% of the time. Which I guess, I mean, to be honest, I don't have a lot more to say about that shit. It's kind of how it went.
Yeah,
like,
by the way, what'd you think of that stoppage? I think it'd be called way earlier, but that's my opinion.
I mean, yeah.
He was fucking hammer fisting him bad, and even shots from those elbows. Like, Jack made him even just like this, and then you could just see him clearly, like, I don't know. Like a good solid 25 seconds.
Yeah, I believe.
Probably exaggerating.
I believe my notes. Yeah, my notes literally say Fortune almost immediate takedown, gets him up against the cage, another takedown, ground and pound finish from half guard / 3/4 mount. Ref must hate May. This is my notes. Yep. Because dude, yeah, you don't need to let a dude punch a dude in his guard 4,500 times. Yeah,
and I was like, this. Stop the fight.
Well,
nope.
the thing that people like doing is pretending like, oh, well, he's hitting him in his guard, so it's okay. It's like, that's okay for the first 5 times. That's not okay on the 60th time. You know what I mean?
Oh, it reminds me of even though I said I won't remember, we agree won't mention the name of the subreddit. They made a joke of a certain fighter that should make a comeback, and then
is it a homeless? No, I don't even like making that reference.
So, anyways,
are there cats on the subreddit?
Yes, there are. And then they said, oh, also, if this fighter does come back, Mario Yamasaki needs to let him go out like a warrior.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't like referencing that subreddit. Because they're like, they're chaotic bad a lot of time. They're chaotic evil.
Oh, it's an extremely insecure subreddit.
To be fair, it's very fun. No, to be fair, it always has been, and that's why it's so funny. Yeah. Oh my god. Also, shouts to the other podcast subreddit that obviously correlates to it. The Jason Jackson Neiman Gracie fight was pretty wild, man. I mean, how much do you see this entire fight?
To me, it started off like, dude, this is not a Bellator fight. He gets his eye
just
hurt.
Fouls, yeah.
Fouls,
This is you,
and
dude.
Then another accidental eye poke.
You
I was
100%.
I was annoyed. This fight annoyed me.
You 100% associate Bellator with fouls, right?
Well, the way I explained it to Blake, he was asking me, he's like, there weren't any UFC fights. But I'm like, no, there's a Bellator card. I said, but I told him, but the reason why I never hold my breath on Bellator fights is because it's like Murphy's Law. That's it. It's just Murphy's Law. The fight promotion.
It really is.
It was the one fight that really just kind of like I was like, fuck this shit, was when Gegard fought what's his face? It was supposed to be a banger at middleweight. Oh, Douglas Lima. I was like, fuck this.
I'm surprised you're not referencing one of the Czech Congo one.
Oh, that.
Yeah, but you kind of expect that from Czech Congo, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean,
in comparison to Gegard, yeah.
Yes, but that's why don't hold your breath on Romero versus Rumble.
Dude, oh my god, how many eye pokes is there going to be in the first round? Oh, Chris, you just ruined this for everybody. Oh no. I never thought about this. There's going to be 4 eye pokes in the first round.
Yeah. And then also, and the reason I'm doing this is because it also just got announced today, or it's going to be, and we expected this, is Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Part 2.
Is that official?
Not yet.
Okay, but I don't want to just repeat Dana White trying to fuck John Jones' premises. But also, I think Derek Lewis wins that fight via gas tank and durability for no reason.
I don't even want to talk about that fight because I already have PTSD from seeing the first one in person. That's
right. You still literally are seeing in slow motion every time you look at fat people walking from that fight.
No, it's just the only thing I see is just blinding.
You see time passing. You see hourglasses emptying.
No, it's like I'm in the scene from Gladiator where everyone was literally chanting "fight, fight, fight," and I remember that shit was loud. Like everyone in unison, like "fight." And then it's just
a lot of fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Derek Lewis won though, so shouts to them.
Hey, shouts out to my prediction of that fight. It'll be calm Francis Ngannou throwing leg kicks, as he tries
Yeah,
to
no, Derek.
overhead, you know what's gonna happen? He's
He's
going
gonna
to punch
get
at
murdered by Derek Lewis.
and land a murder uppercut, and then down goes Ngannou. And then
That or Derek Lewis counters a leg kick. Yeah, one of the two.
I wouldn't be mad because that'd be pure comedy. Because like you said, what's he gonna do? He's gonna pull his dick out and say, "Dana, put the belt on my dick."
Honestly, yeah. No, that was I forget. One of the podcasts we talked about this one. Aaron Juice Jackson. It's the Friendly Sparring podcast. Talks about how when Ngannou wins the belt, he's just gonna pull his dick out and ask to have belts put on it. Which first off, fair. I'm not gonna tell you can't, sir. And second off,
really quickly too, congrats to Jason Jackson for getting the decision win.
Great segue, bro.
Yeah. Terrible segue, clearly. My point is this also, are they also doing a 170 tournament, or is it just the 145 that was the main event? I can't remember.
I believe there's only a 145 currently. I think all their tournaments are wrapped right now, apart from 145. Because I think they were because they wrapped heavyweight, they wrapped 170 with because that was where Lima wrapped that one up. With everybody.
Oh yeah.
So I think we're caught up on tournaments. There might be a heavyweight or light heavyweight tournament that's happening.
I think it's light heavy.
One of the two, I think.
Oh no, it is light heavy because of Rumble and Romero. They're starting the light heavyweight
Damn,
tournament.
I just punched over my beer, so I guess that's a good way to move on.
Well, you jinxed it. You said, I'm not going to spill my beer this time.
I said hopefully I wouldn't spill it for a second time. And guess what, Chris? I spilled it a second time. So, you want to talk about this? I mean, we talked Jason Jackson just kind of... Did we actually talk about this at all?
Not really, because there's a bunch of eye pokes and fouls, and then we were both just bummed out.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my feeling about it. To be honest, Jason Jackson clearly lost the first round, won the second two, right? Am I confusing that?
Yeah. Neiman didn't really have anything on the feet. Had his back, or had partial control of his back multiple times, but Jackson just did too well of a job defending the hands, grabbing the wrists, just kind of breaking away control from Gracie. And then once it just got back up to the feet, Gracie just wasn't nearly as adaptive and ready as Jackson was on the feet, even with the compromised vision that Jackson had, because I think it was his left eye that swelled up pretty significantly.
It was off of a fucking...
Yeah,
it was actually a freak. Yeah, it was a freak Ian what the fuck?
McCall kind of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a freak Ian McCall kind of injury where his eye actually scraped along the cage.
Yeah.
Very weird, but yeah, unfortunate as hell. And yeah, man, all in all, it's one of those fights that I wouldn't mind seeing them run back.
Yeah, especially since my dumb
it was
ass
pretty
didn't realize
competitive
it was a tournament,
too.
So might as well run it back, or just we'll see what else they try to match make.
Well, it was pretty competitive, and I don't mean immediately. I just mean down the road, you know. I think Jason Jackson. I think I don't know. It's very undefinitive or indefinite. No, you know what I'm talking about. None of the words quite fit what I'm trying to hit on that. It doesn't feel definitive enough of a win in a way that they can never fight again kind of thing. Although for a tournament format, I think you got to give him a pass. But yeah, overall, I would like to see it run back again eventually. Just because it was such a weird fight. If it wasn't so weird. Then again, Neiman Gracie has some fucking weird fights, man.
Yeah, it's he gets pieced up a little bit and all.
Gracie's in general, dude. They have weird fights with weird just weird decisions made by all parties involved. So I guess lastly we should move on to this main event. Patricio Pitbull took on Emmanuel Sanchez for the second time, and holy shit, Chris, dude. My God. I mean, as someone who's not like the... I mean, you watch a decent... You say you don't like Bellator, but you watch a good amount of Bellator fights.
I don't like Bellator for just because every time I watch it, it's like I was saying,
there's like some clown shit
I like
happening.
it when there's good fights and good fighters like Patricio Freire. Yes, like he's very fucking good, and he is probably, I mean, he is a top 3 lightweight in the world, or at least top 5 at the bare minimum, you know. And selfishly, I would love to see him fight the UFC, you know, top guys in the UFC, at least at lightweight. Well,
yeah, well, I mean, it's undeniable at this point that he is the top in featherweight and lightweight. Like, while I think there are clear matchups that would be rough for him, I think there are clear matchups that he would bang dudes out at. Like,
I think Poirier probably beats him just from size.
I mean, yeah, but that's a size thing. But like the fucking, I'm trying to think of like, dude, how about this? I'm gonna say something that people are gonna get real mad at, or I don't necessarily hate his odds against Conor at this point in his career, both their careers.
I think that'd be a competitive fight for sure.
I think if he can hang past a round and a half, he's gonna fuck Conor up bad. I don't know that he can do it because he's gonna tank a lot of damage.
I don't know. I know he's 5'6", so he's small.
That's the thing, is he's gonna have to tank a lot of damage to get to.
And Conor's arms and reach probably considerably a lot, you know, more vast, more advantageous for him. But yeah, as far as that kind of matchup goes,
well, part of it's like just betting against Conor and that. But
I would love to see Pitbull versus like Volkanovski because they're both the same height and kind of both. Like,
see, I think that's the kind of matchup that's the worst possible outcome for him. Like, because I think Volkanovski is like the worst possible matchup. Like, I think Max would be a way more fun matchup than Volkanovski for him, or like a Jose, or like
Ortega.
Ortega, dude, Ortega would be a very fun matchup actually, because I bet you they would bang it out a lot. Like, because Pitbull's pretty good at avoiding guillotines. See, he's never been guillotined, right? Has he? I mean, he has
has he been knocked out? I know his brother has.
He has a very solid. You know, I mean, he had the leg injury against Benson. That's it. Apart from a couple split decision losses with Pat Curran and Joe Warren, and the loss to Daniel Strauss.
Yeah, his reach is his height.
Usually it's insane. People sleep on Pitbull. I'm telling you.
He's the same height as me. My reach is about 65.5 as well.
Yeah, you have a weird reach for your
top
reach.
Athlete.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, so you have a weird reach for your height.
I mean, if it's based on your height, it's supposed to be 66.
Yeah.
If that's true, I don't even know if that isn't that true though. Usually your reach is your height. I don't even know if it's true.
It's like ish. Like, it depends on genetics and also
leg injury
just
and
like parents and shit. But yeah, man, like he has one of the strongest records on paper about not necessarily like strength competition, but just the way he's won or lost fights against elite competition. And man, I like, especially his win over Emmanuel Sanchez in the rematch. I want to see fucking Pitbull against real ass opponents, and he's running out of them. You know what I mean?
So, and as far as the finish, yeah, you hit, like you were saying, he had that knockdown, and it was to the beautiful guillotine he locked in. He even looked at the ref saying, "Hey, he's out."
And if you rewatch that clip, he actually clipped him really bad on the exchange before the exchange that put him down. He clipped him bad on the first exchange, and then dude was able to reset. Sanchez was able to reset a little bit, and then he clipped him again on the second exchange, and then that's when he was like just jumped on the neck and put him out, and with an arm in even, and got put him completely out with an arm in guillotine, which is, you don't see everybody putting people to sleep with arm in guillotines either. Dude's got a nasty squeeze.
Another thing quickly too, just based on this division and tournament, because this is the tournament, he's fighting AJ McKee Jr. I know that kid's very talented. He's still young, only 25.
Yep.
This is probably too big of a step up for McKee.
I think so.
I think it'll be I think ultimately.
I think it'll be a
I think
banger.
ultimately Pitbull will win, but I think it's gonna be a lot closer than some might expect.
I think it's gonna be. Y'all want to see some scrambles? I feel like we're gonna see some fucking dope scrambles, and we're gonna see some very solid counterboxing from Pitbull.
I think, like, say McKee does pull it off. I mean, you obviously run that back. You do the rematch.
You got to, yeah, because he's too dominant a champ.
Even though Coker would never let him go, imagine McKee wins, says thanks for the cheese, and goes to the UFC. That'd be fun for featherweight, but
dude, the UFC, I'm starting to get to the point where I wonder if they're going to get desperate enough to do cross-promotion events.
If Chandler wins...
If Chandler wins and now Endeavor owns 100% of the UFC...
They can do it.
If it makes the most money, Dana don't make no sense. You know what I mean? I think is that the new Endeavor slogan? I'm pretty sure. I bet you they will start ignoring Dana if it makes enough money. So like, hey Dana, fuck you. I don't care if it doesn't actually make your opinion right. It's gonna make us a lot of money, so go shut the fuck up and sit in the corner. Hey, you know what? If Endeavor buying out the UFC means that they're gonna tell Dana to sit in the corner, I don't hate that. It's going to be bad for the sport because they're going to book trash matchups and they're going to bury the entire company. Scott Coker's going to take over the industry. But we will see.
That's the beauty of it. We just have to just wait and see.
Well, I'm a grumpy, pessimistic bitch who always roots for the underdogs. So, and also, I don't know if you know my feelings about Dana White by the end of this episode. I feel like you might have an idea. I mean, I'm not saying I hope he drowns in the snow that he ships into his driveway, because there's none there right now. So I can't possibly say that.
Someone call up Colby to go film him, interrupt him gambling again or some shit. Or just get another heel to do that. That's
make sure to get more of the Asian hooker on camera next time. Well, Chris, I'm glad you brought this back around to the most delinquent sections of the show. I guess we're gonna wrap this here. We love you guys for listening. If you're still here, oh boy, you're a special kind of. You enjoy a special kind of pain, and we love you for it, to be honest. Chris, what you got anything to wrap this motherfucker up?
Everyone out there, grab a near beer and enjoy life. Just kidding. No, drink real beer. Well, unless it tastes good.
If you can, drink real beer. If you can't, maybe try near beer. Actually, no. If you can, maybe try some of those fake cocktails that are actually kind of okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like some of those fake spirits that are actually like supposed to be like. I mean, worst case, actually, you know what? If you can't drink actual booze, you don't have addiction problems, maybe try out some of the cannabis wines. I've heard they're very good.
Ooh. Okay.
Also, or any of the weed syrups. But be careful with those fucking things. They will kill you.
By the way, guess what ad I keep getting on Instagram after the truck, big-ass truck of this said alcoholic, and it's definitely not a beverage. It's an alcoholic, what do we call it? It's for degenerates. 99.
Oh!
Saw a big-ass 99 truck. Pass me in the
be
freeway.
It bananas, be it cherries,
the
be
one,
it
the
apples.
one I saw on the social media ad was like for some donut flavored sprinkle one.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, and every time I think 99, I think when I would go to the Keg and Ball La Jolla, and there always would be very kind, very polite, homeless looking man who would always be with his dog and buy 99. 99 is his choice. And you know what? He looks happy, so fuck it.
To be fair, La Jolla, you can mix 99 with something sparkly and have a real good day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Also, shouts to Mark in chat who says no one's called him special since his mom when he was a kid. I would argue Mark's been special since he enjoyed ESBs. You know what I'm saying? Really, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
On that note, Chris, I think we've officially made all of the jokes we have in our fucking up our sleeve. So you want to go ahead and wrap this motherfucker? You got anything else? Shout out for out of here.
That's it.
All right. Well, you guys can find us on Twitter, TSOVPod. You can shoot us an email, sovpod@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Please let us know the MMA podcast you like. Let us know the skate videos you're like. Let us know fucking anything you like. Beers? You got booze recommendations, bro? We be doing them. We'll do them on the next show if you give it to us. So, till next time, we love you. And go do something decadent. We out. Hey.
Liked by the sound of violence.